My question today is why are we so willing to copy and paste our lives away? Why are we willing to be duplicates of everyone around us? I feel like we're too willing to copy everyone and everything around us, to jump on the bandwagons of everything that's popular and everything that's trendy. What happened to forming our own thoughts and our own opinions and being critical thinkers and being ourselves? Today, this podcast episode is going to be talking about how we can do more of that, how we can be less of a copy and paste and more of an original. This episode is being born out of a situation that happened earlier today. I made a post on Threads that someone literally copied and pasted as though it was their own. They just stole it, pretty much. Now, it kind of caught me off guard. I mean, it's not uncommon. This happens all the time. People do it all the time. But for me, this was someone that I actually follow. It was a mutual relationship. And so that's what was shocking to me about it. They see my posts, I see their posts. And so in my mind, nobody would ever do something like that, right? They're going to get caught at some point eventually. But anyways, it wasn't super profound, the thing that I wrote. It was just a thought that I had in a moment, so I decided to share it. But for me, it's not so much about the post on Threads. It was just the principle of it. I think this is a broader situation about somebody stealing and taking what's not theirs. So this conversation isn't really about social media. That's just the backdrop. It's really more about why we're not living in a society or why we are living in a society where it's okay to steal, where it's okay to copy, where it's okay to take somebody else's stuff, really. And I don't think it's okay. I also feel like we need to be thinking more about how to be ourselves because where's the originality in people? Why aren't we willing to show up and be the person that we say we are? Or maybe the better question is, who do we think we are and why aren't we being that person? Or are we really being the people that we say we are being? Or are we copy and pasting versions of somebody else? I'm not even sure if this is a conversation that people are ready to have or if they even want to hear it, because I think a lot of times when we talk about stuff like this, it requires people to be self-reflective. It requires introspection. It requires you looking at yourself and really assessing if you're showing up and if you're telling the truth to yourself about what you are doing and who you are being. And I don't know if a lot of people are interested in doing the work on themselves right now, or if they're ready to look at themselves. But this is really what it's going to take. It's you looking at yourself and assessing if you are being and doing the things that you say that you're going to be and do. I'm saying all this because when I talk about things like random stuff like pancakes or traffic or the weather or something trendy, people want to pay attention to that. But when I talk about things like inner work and accountability and self-reflection, it's crickets. Nobody really wants to have that conversation. Or when I notice that there are conversations that require inner thought, inner accountability, or just looking at how we're showing up, very few people engage and interact. I think that is reflective of just the population overall. And I think it's time for us to be more accountable with how we are being and how we're showing up. I don't think that we are comfortable with who we are. I don't think that we are capable of having our own thoughts and innovation. So let's talk about it. I want to see if it's just me or if there are reasons why we are okay with just copying other people or trying to be like everybody else or trying to do what everybody else is doing. Before we jump in, I just want you to remember to grab your reflections worksheet, okay? So you can capture any thoughts or takeaways from today's conversation. And you already know what to do. If you don't have it, you can grab the link in the description and download it in the caption below. Okay, so let's talk about some of the reasons why people might show up inauthentically or not like themselves, or why they may try to copy or be like someone else. So the number one reason I think this happens is because of attention. Right? We've talked about this. I've talked about this before. I think people want to be seen, they want to be heard, they want to be liked. I know that the number one commodity right now is attention, whether it's online or outside of being on social media. It's hard to grab someone's attention and keep it. We are living in a space in a society where you got about 1 second to grab a person's attention and to get them to feed into or to buy into whatever it is you're saying. And I think some people are willing to push the limits on this just to be acknowledged and just to be seen. And I get it because people are lonely. They want interaction. They're also conditioned to being alone because there's no space for us to express ourselves outside of what we're seeing or watching on our phones. A lot of times I'll go into a place like go to a restaurant instead of the bar, or I'll be open to interacting. I'll purposely put my phone away so I can talk and engage with people. And 9 times out of 10, everyone around me who is there by themselves also is on their phone. They're engaging on their phone or they're glued to their phone. Now, I get it. I do the same thing, looking at your phone or listening to a podcast, watching a video, not a big deal. But I'm talking about when you are in a setting where you're surrounded by other people in a social environment, but you're not willing to participate in what's going on around you. There is a short attention span just in general, but we have been conditioned to just be glued to our phones, to be glued to what's going on right in this little device in front of us or whatever, our iPads or laptops, whatever we're on. And so I don't think that it's not so much about social media, right? I don't want to keep harping on that. I know that that plays a role because, I've talked about that a lot. I've talked about social media in different aspects and from each of the different standpoints. Social media has turned into the new lunchroom. So remember back in the day when it was time for you to go to lunch, whether it was like middle school, high school, one of the things I used to be so afraid about was who am I going to eat lunch with? Who is going to be in the lunchroom? Like, am I going to sit by myself? Am I going to feel like a loser? Am I going to feel like I don't have any friends? And I think that social media has now turned into that. It's feeling nervous or feeling anxiety about who you're going to eat with. The same thing with social media. It's like, who's going to like my post? Who's going to comment? Who's going to engage? It's that same energy and that same feeling. It's now turned into the apps. But I think in a broader perspective, we are so concerned about what other people think and what other people are doing and what's trending and what people like that we're so willing to latch onto it. We're so willing to copy. We're so willing to steal. We're so willing to put innovation aside and not really be who we are. Like, I don't even think a lot of us know who we are, who we want to be, because we're so busy looking at the person next to us. We're so busy trying to figure out, well, what is she doing or what is he doing? And is it working? Again, the attention. The attention is what we're trying to grab. But have we even asked ourselves, why do we want the attention? What are we doing with the attention? What does the attention mean about us? What is it saying about ourselves? Or what is it saying about you that you are holding on to that, or that is something that you feel like you need? Why are you not getting that in your everyday day-to-day life? So there's just something to think about. I think another reason why people feel like they have to copy and follow and do what other people are doing is because of self-esteem. A lot of people feel insecure by what they see going on around them. I had another episode where I talked about how there's that very thin line between inspiration and insecurity. So you can be following someone that you really admire and you respect, and they can make you feel good. But then there's like that one post or those two posts that made you feel a little some type of way, made you question yourself, made you look at yourself and wonder, well, what am I doing? So I think self esteem also plays a role in why we copy and paste everything around us. We want to just be doing what this person next to us is doing. If you are looking for acceptance and if you see other people getting it, then you think that that's what you need to be doing. That's what you need to do to get it. Or it's because everybody else is on the bandwagon making you feel good. Everybody else is rallying around you, or everybody else is doing something that you think is cool. But even as adults, we feel like this. I know a lot of times people think, well, we're grown, or that's what kids do, or when you are a teenager. No, I think adults too feel this way. It's self-esteem. It's accepting where you are in life. A lot of times we'll be in a certain situation or position and we think we should be further along in life. I don't know It could be maybe you thought you would be married, maybe you thought you'd have kids, maybe you thought you'd be further along in your career, or maybe you thought you'd have a different job, or maybe your financial situation isn't where you thought it would be or what you thought it would be. So that can make you feel a certain type of way about yourself. It can make you question your value. It can make you question your worthiness. It can make you question if you're doing enough, if you're good enough. So self esteem, I think, plays a major role in the copy and paste. Like we're just thinking that, okay, well, maybe I'm not doing it right. Maybe the person next to me, or maybe she got it right. So let me just do what she's doing. So if you don't have a strong sense of self, or if you don't believe in yourself, or if you don't understand what it is you bring to the table or where your value lies, then this is going to be an issue. You're going to be more likely to just copy what the next person is doing. So I think another reason why people end up in this copy paste culture is because they're delusional. I think some people really are delusional. I don't mean delusional in a good way. I don't mean delusional in envisioning and believing it before you see it kind of thing. I'm talking about people really think that they just can do whatever they want to do without any consequences. They can just steal people's stuff. They can grab onto something and pretend that it's theirs and own it. I've seen people do this a lot, especially like with smaller brands. I've seen larger companies steal people's ideas, steal people's creations, steal people's work pretty much. And it's sort of like, who's going to check them? Who's going to say something? It's harder for the smaller guy to fight back the big corporation or the big organization. It's going to take a lot of money, time, effort. And so I think that's why a lot of larger brands will do that. Just take their stuff. They will take their stuff as though it's theirs. But now I'm starting to see smaller brands fight back. But it's delusion, right? You think that you can just do whatever you want and there are no consequences. I also think that it comes down to you not feeling as though you have to do the work. Like somehow things are just supposed to come to you, or somehow there's like a shortcut, or somehow you can just skip steps, or somehow you can just get to whatever goal you're trying to get to without actually having to do any of the grunt work or any of the reps that you have to put in. And so I think that's delusional. People present themselves in a certain way and they really do believe these things about themselves, but it's not true. They're living in Delulu land. They really are. I think another thing that comes up when we talk about the copy paste is there's a lack of reflection and there's a lack of feedback. So many times people aren't willing to look at themselves. And this is what I was saying in the beginning. You're not aware of how you contribute to the problem. You think that your life is this way because of something somebody did or something somebody said, or way back in the day because your dad did this or your mom did that, your grandmama did this and your grandmama said that. It's not, yes, that plays a role in certain things you've experienced, but you get to decide how you want to change that. And if you're not reflective on yourself, if you're not looking at yourself to say, okay, like, what am I doing? Nothing is going to change. The lack of reflection, the lack of looking at oneself, it's detrimental to how we're showing up in the world because we believe that it's everybody else's fault that we're in a predicament that we're in. You're not looking at yourself and you don't have anyone around you who is willing to tell you the truth. Or maybe they are trying to tell you the truth and you're just not wanting to listen. So we need feedback. We need people that we trust that are actually going to have our best interests and look out for us, tell us the truth about what it is. Because a lot of times, we think that we are doing something a certain way or we are being a certain type of person, and that's really not what's happening. And a lot of us are not even aware that we're just carbon copies of the person next to us. We're not willing to have our own thoughts and have our own opinions and have our own beliefs around what it is that we want for our lives. We haven't even really decided. A lot of times we know what we don't want, but we don't know what we do want. We haven't decided what we do want. And even now, more so than ever, the world is being set up to avoid having that type of communication and that true interaction with people. I just talked about going into a restaurant or being in a setting where you're by yourself and there's, other people around, but people are very much in their silos. They're very much doing their own thing on their phones or on their gadgets. And so we're not open to having the conversations or willing to talk to anyone We don't have any feedback. We don't have that same level of community and of interaction that we've had from like decades ago and like in the past where it was just more communal. People got together more, people talked more, people interacted more in real life. I know that people still do this, but there is a tendency to be very much in our own little silos. So if we're not speaking to other human beings, then we're not really getting any of the information that we need. I mean, I can go days without speaking to another person. Being in the environment, that I'm in, I live by myself. There are times where I don't even leave my house. So I don't have to talk to a person. So if you're not looking at yourself, taking time to really introspect, reflect, and think about, okay, am I really showing up the way that I think I am? Or am I being the person that I want to be, not the person that somebody else told me I should be? These are things that we got to think about. And then the last thing I would say is entitlement. It's people thinking that they can just do, again, it's like that I can just do whatever I want, or maybe they're above certain things, or maybe they think that the rules don't apply to them. So they can just do whatever. You need to be able to walk the talk. You need to be able to, if you're going to be out here saying that you want to help people, right? A lot of times people are fake. They are fake gurus. They are fake service providers. They are fake coaches. They are fake, fill in the blank. They feel like there's this entitlement. You can just slap a title on and be this person. That's not how that works. You have to walk the talk and be the person that you say that you are being. You have to show up in your own life as the person that you say that you are. So I think when we talk about this, what comes to my mind that is the major question we need to be asking is, how do we define our true selves? How do you define your true self? I think one of the reasons that we copy and that we paste and we have these false images and ideas about ourselves is because we do not understand where that idea or belief comes from. It didn't originate within us. A lot of times it could be from family members, it could be society, it could be friends, trends, social media, all the things that are around us that influence us. So we want to hang on to this idea of what we're supposed to be or who we're supposed to be. But we definitely are influenced by everything and everyone around us. I don't think that we can get away from that. It's not so much about denying that. I think the real challenge is looking at ourselves and saying, what is that me? Is that what I want? Is that how I feel? Is that really the thing that is representative of me? Am I being the person I say that I'm being? We view ourselves in a certain way, or we think we're presenting in a certain way, but that's really not what it is. I think a lot of times we're in the middle of trying to reconcile who we think we are against who we really want to be. For example, you might think that you're a kind person, or you're a generous person, or you're super attentive. And maybe you are, but are you? I mean, when was the last time you were kind? What did you do to be kind? How are you being generous? Can you name some generous things that you've done? If you think that you're a patient person, describe a time when you were patient, like consistently, not just in a moment, but things that you are doing consistently. And so we have to take time and space to be, I would say, like in our own energy to see, like, okay, is this person that I say I'm being, am I showing up that way? First of all, do I even want to be my own person? Because some of y'all are good copy and pasting. Some of y'all are good just doing what everybody else is doing. Some of y'all are good just going with the crowd, going with the trends. Okay, cool. No problem. But if you want to stand out, if you actually really want to have your own energy and understand who you are and do the things that you say you're going to do and show up as the person you want to be and actually be the person that you say you're being, then you have to take time to figure out if you are doing what you want to do. It has to be your thoughts, your feelings, your opinions. It has to be coming from you. What you're creating has to come from you. It can't be a carbon copy of what everybody else is doing. Now, don't get me wrong. I know that a lot of the stuff that we're talking about and we're doing, it's not new. A lot of this stuff is not innovative. It's not brand new. It's not groundbreaking. It's about how you say what you say and how you do what you do. But in order to do that, you have to understand, is what's coming out of your mouth you? Are the things that you're doing actually you? Or are you trying to portray or be something that you're not? That's the question. Now, if you're okay being fake and phony, okay, cool. But if you really want to get to the bottom of who you're being and what energy you're bringing, these are questions you need to ask yourself. We're busy focusing on the external. We're blaming the person, we're blaming the job, we're blaming the circumstances, we're blaming all the things. And listen, it's not a judgment because I was there. I was doing all those things. Oh, why is this happening to me? Why am I not doing this? Or why did he say that? Or why did she do this? Yeah, you can't control another person, but what you can control is how you respond, how you react, and what you are doing in your environment. A lot of times we're focusing outside of ourselves and we're not turning the mirror back onto us and saying, okay, well, how did I contribute to that situation? How did I bring this about? Because you are a co-creator of your life. So whatever circumstance you find yourself in, you didn't just get there by happenstance or just by chance. There were decisions that you made, there were actions that you took in order for you to be in the position that you're in. You have to take some responsibility and accountability for who you are being, right? And we can't just be listening to the people who we think are the authority. People present themselves as the master, as the guru. A lot of times, especially as coaches, being in the coaching industry, I see this all the time. People are presenting as though they have all the answers and they have the right solution to your problem. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But a lot of times, these people are not even showing up in their own lives as the person that they're telling you that they are being. And this is what I'm talking about. We got to stop pump faking. We got to stop pretending to be people and to be things that we're not. It's exhausting. And it's just better for you to be the original person. Even if you have the same idea, thoughts, or energy or creativity as someone or similar to someone next to you, that's fine, but it still has to come from you. It still has to be authentically you. So, all of these things that we're doing, we have to think about why we're doing and what we're doing instead of just doing blindly and not thinking. Another thing I think we need to think about and ask ourselves is what we are committed to. What are you committed to? What are you willing to do? What are you willing to spend time on? Where are you willing to focus your energy? Because if you're not sure of who you are, just pay attention to what you commit yourself to. Where do you spend the majority of your time and energy? Who are you being most of the time? So a lot of times we're like, oh, okay, well, I'm a considerate person. You are, but are you though? Like, are you a considerate person when every single time there's a decision to be made, you're selfish or you're not thinking about the next person? You're not looking at, well, how does this decision impact the person next to me? Or how does this decision impact my family or whatever? You're not thinking like that. You're just doing. So that to me is not consideration. But we say these things to ourselves or we repeat back these things that we want even though that's not what we want. That's not what it is that we really truly want deep down inside. Okay. Everybody wants a shortcut. Everybody wants a cheat code, but there is no cheat code to your life. You have to put in the work. You have to be committed to finding out who you are, what you want, what you're willing to do to get to that life, what you're willing to do to be in that life. You have to be committed to doing the work. There's always going to be work to do. So are you willing to do that? Or are you trying to take the easy way out? Because you can copy the next person next to you, but I don't know how far that's going to get you. And I don't know how long that's going to last. It's about longevity and how long you're willing to do that. Because even with that, even if you're going to copy paste, you got to commit to that. So what are you willing to commit to? These are things you need to be asking yourself. And then the other thing is, what parts of your life are you satisfied with? What are the parts of your life that you enjoy, that you feel satisfaction from? I think a lot of times we just grab the thing that's next to us when we're not happy, when we're not feeling satisfied. We don't have an idea of what we want. We don't know what we want. So we just grab onto what we think we should want. We grab onto what the person next to us is doing. If we pay attention to how we show up, if we pay attention to what we do consistently, what we commit to, we would learn a lot more about ourselves and what it is that we want. Because we can copy all day. We can copy as a way to escape our own reality or to not think about what isn't working. A lot of you are not happy with where you are and what you're doing right now, but you're feeling stuck because you don't know what else to do. You don't know how to get out of the rut. You don't know how to get out of the cycle. So in your mind, you're thinking, well, let me just go over here and copy what this person is doing. Listen, that could work, but you don't know that other person's circumstances. You don't know what they're going through. You don't know what their situation is. You only know what they're presenting. And a lot of times people are only presenting what is good and they're giving you the highlight reel. They're not telling you all of the hardships and all of the challenges that they're going through behind the scenes. So if you're copying them, just know that you're only copying the snippet and the snapshot. And also, you have to decide if that's going to be a life that you're willing to live, if that's going to be something that you're willing to go all in about. Because if you start it, you got to finish it. Again, what are you willing to commit to? Because this only works in the short run. It prevents us from taking accountability when we're not willing to look at ourselves. It prevents us from really going through, the dark side of things and looking at ourselves. But I feel like it's time for us to do that. Like this whole copy paste culture, it's old, it's exhausting, it's boring. I'd rather you stand out being you than trying to copy and be like what everybody else is doing. And after a while, like once it catches on, it's like people get over it. Trends die, they fade out. You don't want to be trendy. You want to be a person who people are looking to look up to be inspired by, not to be like, oh, yeah, I remember that person from back in the day when they used to do X, Y, and Z and nobody cares. No, you want to be somebody that's long lasting, long standing. I don't know. Maybe you do or maybe you don't. But with the copy and pasting, it's just not original. It's not giving. It's not helping the situation. It doesn't add any spice, any spark. Nobody cares about you copying somebody else. You may copy it and maybe make it better. A lot of times people do that. But wouldn't you just rather be you? Wouldn't you just rather show up as who you are than trying to be somebody that you're not? I just think that's better. Regardless, there's somebody and something for you. If all you need to do is figure out and tap into that, that's the only thing you need to focus on. Stop trying to copy and be like what everybody else is doing. Because at the end of the day, the reason why we're stuck, the reason why we're not getting the things that we want is because we aren't taking the time to do the work to figure out what it is that is best for us. Your life is your life. You don't need to copy and paste somebody else's drama, somebody else's highlight reel, somebody else's accomplishments. Figure out what you need to do for yourself to be your own inspiration. Figure out what you need to do for yourself to be your own model. Figure out what you need to do for yourself to look up to yourself, to set your own goals, to set your own tone. So you're not copying the person next to you. How are you showing up in your life? Who are you being? Is that satisfying to you? Is it making you happy? Is it bringing you joy? Think about these things because in order for you to go far in life, in order for you to really excel and to get to the things you want and to have the life you want, you have to be willing to tell yourself the truth about really how you're showing up and who you are right now. So that's all I have to say about this topic. I'm curious to know what your thoughts are. Let me know what you feel about this copy paste culture. Do you feel like you are a person who's copying and pasting? Do you feel like people are copying and pasting you? And are you following somebody else's blueprint or are you making your own instead? Leave me a comment and let me know your take on it, and I will see you in the next one.